Welcome everyone to the program. Typical webinar things. While we wait to get going here, we'll give everyone about a minute to two just to get them time to grab their coffee, get out of their previous meeting, roll out of bed if they're working from home, and jumping in. So we'll get going in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, we can always say hi about where we are coming in from. I am Durham, North Carolina here, and of course, if we want to take it up a notch, we are talking about email and SMS today, and we like to say strong alone, beautiful together. Think about things that kind of go well together: mac and cheese, gin and tonics, peanut butter and jelly. So in addition to where you're coming in from, maybe just blast off some of your favorite local duos here, and we'll see what's happening here. So let's give everyone just one more minute here, and if I can find the chat at some point, I will tell you my favorites for my local area. So I am dialing in from Durham, North Carolina, Central State, and let's go UNC Duke, barbecue and hush puppies, and of course the mountains and the beaches. We've got Jesse, also from Raleigh, so right down the road, Hickory, North Carolina. I love it. So we're rocking and rolling from Carolina. We're representing the mountains and representing Central Plains. So Minneapolis, we're going to get Green Mile Pizza in there. And Slovenia, I love it. We are international today. So we are rocking and rolling. All right, we are 2 minutes after, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Of course, we've got Kansas City Joe's, go Bills, but I love the Chiefs, so I'll give it for you. We're going to go ahead and get started, get everyone in and out today. Hopefully you all learn something, get some useful takeaways here. But again, we are talking about email and SMS. We like to say strong alone, beautiful together. And really today is about, again, you can see it on the screen, but simple ways to get started with SMS. So SMS is powerful. We're going to explain to you why it's so powerful and how to really use it from a very simplistic nature and start growing, especially as we approach Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which is key for us here. So my name is Greg Zakwitz. I am an e-commerce expert here at Omnisend. I'm going to be your host today, probably do less talking than Josh here, hopefully. But just give background about myself. I've been in email for 18 years now. It's almost 2 decades in email marketing, across the board from practitioner to consultant to analyst, and now kind of doing a hybrid of all those roles here. I've also been in SMS marketing for over 10 years, probably the 13, 14. I've helped national brick and mortar retailers in the US here launch from ground zero their SMS program throughout all their stores, and countless e-commerce programs as well. So got tons of experience around this nature, but the great thing is it's always moving, and now we're finally getting that adoption here. And we're joined by Josh. I'm gonna let Josh introduce himself here so you get to know his voice and his lovely face.
Hey everyone, Josh Hargett here. I've been at Omnisend it'll be 3 years next month, so beginning of the end of September. So super excited to go through this with you guys, and don't have 18 years experience in email, but I have been working quite closely with kind of the ramp up of email and SMS, especially through the COVID years. You know, we had a lot of developments in the e-commerce world, so I was kind of front row seat for that, and I'm happy to share some best practices with you guys.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, Josh. And yeah, I never would have thought 18 years ago when I got into email and started playing around with it from a marketing perspective, I'd be here and the changes. So it's kind of cool to kind of get through here, but 18 years seems a lot. It also ages me quite well. All right, a couple of housekeeping things for you. I think we had a question in the chat about where this can be available. So today's program duration will go up to 1 hour, maybe a little extra time if anyone has. If we're running long, I'm okay to stay. I'm going to force Josh to stay if he wants to, but we will record this. If you need to jump off at any point, you can find that recording. It'll be available on our YouTube channel. We'll also send it to you via email after the fact. So one way or the other, you'll be able to view this if you have to hop off. Please ask your questions in the Q&A tab. So there's the webinar chat. There's also a separate Q&A tab. It also works well for you, but it helps us kind of streamline those, and we'll be able to address your questions both in text and hopefully verbally for you as well. There will be a quick post-event feedback form. So when you log off, you'll get it. It'll take you less than a minute to fill out, but we actually look at those and help improve each and every program. You will see that closed captioning is available for today's program, and that was a direct integration because of the feedback we got on a previous webinar as well. So please fill that out. Let us know how we can do better, both from a technical and personal standpoint. And this brings me to our final thing, which is our poster drawing. So this is new for attendees today. This is kind of what it's about. We talked about gin and tonics. We talk about these two things going well together. So we're going to do a random drawing of attendees today. If you would like to be included, we're going to choose 5 winners at random after the event. We'll contact you via email and let you know you won. And what we're going to do is we're going to have you create your own duos around your local area or your particular e-commerce store, whatever you want to do. We will get you a physical poster. We'll get you digital assets of the poster as well as some social assets for there as well. And we will create these for you. So if you would like to be included, I'm going to launch a poll right now, and it's quite simple. Do you want to be included in the raffle after the thing? And we got yes and no, 2 simple options. And if you answer no, we will skip over you if we draw, and yes, we will include you. So take just a minute to answer that. Again, we got lovely duos here. What was the Kansas City one? Again, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City Joes. So I've not been to Kansas City Joes, but next time I get out there, I will go. Josh, how about some duos? You are tell everyone where you're dialing in from, and how about a duo for your local area?
So I'm right now I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. So it's not the Florida that we all know and love with the beaches and the white sand. About an hour from the beach. I would say, the duo here would just be, Tallahassee and alligators, or a pond and alligators.
There you go.
I'm not as good at this. I didn't come prepared with the duo there, but there's not much going on here, which makes me focus more on the SMS side of things.
Way to sell it. The tourism board loves you. All right, I'm going to end this poll here. So anyone who registered yes for this, good luck to you. We'll reach out after the event. And we have gotten to the point where let's go ahead and get into the content. So we've got our agenda today. We're going to talk about how to get started with SMS if you are brand new to it or just dipping your toe in the water as is. Maybe you're doing a little bit already, but you're looking for some pointers. Maybe there's some things you overlooked or some optimization opportunities for you. We're going to talk about some acquisition strategies, tips to create messages easily from content you already have, which is always the best. And the same holds true for a lot of your automated messages as well, email and SMS, to borrow and beg and steal from content you already have. I'm going to give you a couple of campaign ideas. So specifically 5 types, maybe 4. I forgot how many we really added to here, but I think maybe 5 types just to give you some little idea, but there's certainly more than that. Adding it to to your automation, it's going to be huge come Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and that whole entire holiday shopping period. And of course, that short feedback form, we're not going to let you forget about that. Again, it'll take you less than a minute to fill out, and click a couple buttons, and we appreciate you for doing that. And of course, we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. So I guess this brings us to why SMS. And SMS, it's crazy. It's growing. And I like to say it's ubiquitous now. Everyone texts, or nearly everyone texts, across all generations, demographics, does not really matter. So you can see on the screen here, just year over year growth. I pulled together these stats reports. If you've seen them on our website, they are free to digest. We don't gate those for the most part. So kind of see your trends in your industry and things like this. But for the first half of this year, over just about 50% increase over the same period last year. And my guess is this is going to end up around that 60% increase from last year as well. I always give the story. Last December, I was visiting my parents. They live up in Buffalo, which is where I'm from. And we're just kind of laying around one lazy day, and my mother, she's got every noise on her phone because she's I like to tease her that she's one of those baby boomers approaching 70. And I'm just hearing ding, ding, ding. And then, of course, because she's my mother, she's reading everything out loud. And all these things are marketing text messages. And I really did not, she's not a technology adopter by any stretch of the imagination, but she is getting SMS marketing messages from brands. And it really surprised me. It got to the point where, yes, everyone texts, but it's no longer this generational cohort. So we can't say it's for young people. We can't say it's only for millennials. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm signed up part nature for the job, but also because it's helpful for me. I'm signed up for tons of SMS programs. And that's really the beauty here. So we're not really limited. It's like email. Everyone emails, everyone texts now, but the growth is can't be overlooked. And that's really where the opportunities comes in. So this is going to bring us to really how to get started. And at this point, I'm going to kick it over to Josh to kind of pick up with of course, we can't market to people. It's like email unless we grow our list and we have some of those contacts there. So, Josh, why don't you walk us through a little bit about ways to kind of approach list growth from an SMS standpoint and probably show everyone how easy it really is to do. But let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick just so you can kind of pick up and navigate people through what they need to know about.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take over. Thanks, Greg. Okay, so if everyone can see my screen, I have a few examples of just basic pop-ups here. I did a webinar or pre-recorded webinar previously. It was a couple weeks ago when I was visiting our EU office, and that was the bare basics. And we'll go through a lot of those today, and just kind of going from 0 to 1, which is one of my favorite books behind me. Going from 0 to 1, just kind of getting up, getting running, getting the low-hanging fruit going, and then we can always make decisions and do tests from there. But just getting to ground zero, or from ground zero to your first sale, to your first SMS, is the number one priority here when you're just starting out. And some of you have already been using SMS. I'm going to share a couple tips to kind of go from that 1 to 2. Go from you have the basic setup. How do we get a little bit more advanced? How do we optimize the messages? Find good content to send out, and then as well as making sure that we are still cost effective. We don't want to blow our whole budget with SMS, but we still want to use them because it's a good problem to have if we're using those and we have a good ROI. So we'll start with collecting SMS and contacts. There's a couple ways to do this. There's 1-step forms, 2-step forms. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen over to Omnisend and show you actually how to set these up and the different types of forms we can use here. So I'll go ahead and I'm in Omnisend. This is our demo store basic piece. So we're in the form section here at the very top, and we can go to create form. And some of you have actually met with me on one-on-one calls. So this is going to be similar, but more strategic here. So it's not just showing you how to use it, but actually, when and where to set these forms up here. Okay, so we scroll down. We have a ton of different categories here. I will start with just a basic form, and you actually saw this in a screenshot in the presentation here. So we'll use this template, and this is all drag and drop. So if we want to, we can change the content out. We can remove this image if we need to. But the biggest thing here is we're not trying to entertain the customer here on this form. We want to give a clear, clear call to action, a clear opportunity for them to input their information, and then we want to either get them to the phone where they get their notification, and to get them back to the site to start placing their orders. So some companies will do a bunch of graphics, a bunch of videos, and that's fine. But from going from 0 to 1, getting the basics going, getting some ROI in here, we want to keep this simple. So what we'll start out with is, hey, don't miss out, or a popular one is 10% off your first order. And I'll go through a couple options of, you don't have to offer discounts. I know some brands prefer not to offer discounts at first. That's fine. So what I'll do is 10% off your first order for this example, email, SMS. And if those weren't in there, we'll go ahead and delete this. We have a phone number field we can drag in, as well as that SMS compliance there as well. So this is the TCPA compliance. When you first drag in that legal compliance underneath your field, it automatically defaults to GDPR, which is for email. What we can do is switch this at the top right. We can switch this to TCPA. That way we are compliantly collecting messages. You don't want to, forget this. Omnisend does a great job of keeping you compliant. You have to verify your number. You have to verify that you are collecting these contacts under TCPA compliance, which is Telephone Consumer Protection Act. So we will kind of help you cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure this is in there. Once it is verified, don't adjust this, just leave it as is. You'll be required to put your privacy policy link in here. That helps you stay compliant. And then we can just, write out our offers. We have a headline, subheadline, or subtext, and then obviously our content here. This is the easiest way to do it. We actually recently launched 2-step forms, which is a way for us to really just reduce the friction when collecting SMS contacts. So there is and Greg, I'm going to butcher this. You might know the exact. I believe it's a 10% 10% conversion rate increase when you're adding a second step in here. So if we add this plus sign here, we have a phone number on the second step. And what this does is we give our first step, or we give add the first step in as an email only. So just one task at a time, not overwhelming the customer with options. One email, they submit this, goes to the second step. We have their SMS input field in here. If they abandon this step right here, they exit this out. That's also okay. We still converted them and got their email. But it is important that we can reduce friction, and then we can still collect both of those channels there. And we have the success page, which is very, very simple, pretty standard here. You're all signed up. Welcome to the team. Thank you. The teaser option is my favorite because by default, just out of habit, a lot of your customers will exit this pop-up as soon as it pops up. And again, that's completely okay. All is not lost here. A lot of times, maybe they clicked on an ad, maybe a social media campaign, friends and family referral or word of mouth. They just want to check you out. It's not that they don't want your offers. They just don't want to, they just don't want anything to obstruct their view of understanding, okay, what is this brand? And then they'll decide whether or not they want to opt into your list. So in order to do that and giving them an option to opt back in, we'll add this teaser. So we'll enable this teaser. And as you can see at the bottom left-hand corner, we have get 10% off. This is a little, a notice at the bottom of your screen. And that allows us to, when the customer clicks this button, then the pop-up shows back up and then they can opt in. And we can make this teaser say anything. So, if you don't want to offer discounts, we can say, let's do, join our VIP club. This could, and the subtext could be exclusive access to new products, early releases, private shopping. For example, I have a website, I have a small clothing brand. I offer to SMS signups the ability to get 15 minutes of early access shopping to each collection drop before it releases to the public. And that's kind of tying in that psychology of sales here. It's exclusivity, it's scarcity. It's oftentimes if you sell out quickly. So they're really bought into that. Overall with this, and I'll jump forward here on the next topic here, but overall here.
Hey Josh, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So before you navigate out of here, just show people a couple of things, or just talk about them as well. You talked about adding one about two-step forms, which I'll talk about in a second, but the other about adding SMS, just a mobile number collection to the email pop-up. So the one thing I would say, and I think everyone on the call probably recognizes this from their own behavior, but I would say to make that an optional component, unless you have a very firm reason to make the mobile number a required field. You can easily do that with a checkbox, which Josh can always show you if you want to, but while I'm speaking, but I would say make the number optional, make the email address the one you're going after, because you can always collect that mobile number later. As far as the two-step forms as well, I think the one thing, and if you watch any of these like video podcasts that Gabe and I do, where we talk about different topics over these things, spend a couple minutes, we talked about two-step forms. And what we're seeing a lot of people do, not necessarily Omnisend customers, but a lot of other companies do, is they say, hey, get 10% off for signing up for email. It's a two-step form. And the second step says, hey, to get your 10% off, you now need to give us your mobile number. To me, that's somewhat deceptive, right? I want to know whether I'm giving you both right away to get the 10%, or if the second step is optional here. So I would say if you have a two-step form, again, like Josh mentioned, we've got their email address, make it clear that they don't need to get the 10%, the mobile number to get that discount. It's just to set proper expectations here, right? So the one thing you don't want to aggravate customers right away. I like what you do, Josh, with your brand, is giving people early access to sales, the SMS. You talk about creating that exclusivity. One thing you might want to do is, if you're really focused on growing that SMS list on that second step, is maybe you want to offer them, if you do offer discounts, maybe an extra 5% for giving the mobile number. So 10% for your email subscribers, SMS can get a code for 15% off, or some other value add there as well. Or it could be just, hey, sign up for SMS and get early access to sales. So think about what the value of that exclusivity for the SMS might be at that point. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you. I don't know if you talk to companies, I'm sure you do, Josh, that can kind of relate some of those concerns as well.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So that's one thing that if we start talking about the psychology of SMS, and I know that you touched on this briefly in the in the intro there, but it's really just understanding that when customers are opting in for your SMS, and well, like that's a great point. We give them the option to opt in here. We can uncheck this field required option here. If we give them the option, customers that are opting into your SMS list, they're your biggest fans. I always think of those as, the red carpet customers that they want the first early access. They want to know what's happening, when it's happening, where it's happening, and how much it is. And they want it before anyone else. If they didn't want that, then they just wouldn't sign up for SMS. They would just keep the email. Personally, for me as a consumer, I have an inbox that has, I have my personal email that might have 10,000 unread emails at times. So I want to, if I have a brand that I really enjoy and I really, am looking forward to their products, maybe they're already sold out. I want to get that instantly to my phone. SMS open rates are around 98%. The average email open rate is 15 to 30%, 30% on the high end. Obviously, with that Omnisend, we have account managers that are trying to get you to that higher end here. But with SMS, just stats don't lie. It's the highest open right here. So field require, we can uncheck that box. We can even type in the copy here, parentheses, optional. And Greg, as you said, we can do is we can add in, get an additional, 5% off. I'm not, you as a business owners, the e-commerce operators, your margins, what you want to offer. This could be anything. We have options in the emails and depending on what platform you're using, we can offer specific discounts, whether it's a dollar amount off or 5% off or a percentage free shipping, up to you. But this is a good point. It is advantageous to give them an incentive on the second step that is kind of pushing them further to the SMS and not being deceptive and forcing them to hand over their phone number, because that would just result in maybe you discount the first order, but they opt out. You lose that lifetime value of that customer very easily.
So one more thing, Josh. I'm sorry for stepping on your toes here.
No, go ahead.
I think so. This is one of the myths, and this is a concern that I've been talking to companies with for 13 or so years. You probably get it every single day, Josh, when you talk to companies, and I'm sure almost everyone on the webinar today or viewing this after the fact probably has the same concerns or hear the same concerns. Is I don't want to annoy my customers with SMS, right? And the same conversation used to hold true with cart abandonment messages and browse abandonment messages. The beauty with SMS, it's just like email. If they don't want to sign up for it, they don't have to, right? So if I opt into SMS, that's me telling you, you're not going to bother me unless you're sending me for a day, right? Then I'll just stop getting them. But that's the thing to think about is it's a myth that people are going to be bothered by it as long as you treat it responsibly, because they're the ones opting into it. It's an opt-in channel, not a forced channel on them. So I think that's one thing to always keep in mind. If they don't want it, they don't have to sign up. But if they do want it, that's them telling you, yeah, send me these things that interest me. So I think it's important to think about things from not your own perspective, but from a customer's perspective level, say, do they actually want this? And let them tell you they want it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not to keep going too long on this, but the last thing I would say is just kind of thinking about your mom there getting all the marketing messages. The people that you often think would not want to receive SMS, you'd be surprised. It's kind of like a cognitive bias that we have, is we kind of automatically assume that maybe an older demographic or someone that's just very busy, they don't want to receive SMS, they don't want to be bothered. Well, it's actually the opposite. It's just more efficient. And also the messages aren't as long as email. So if you're just needing something to say something quick offer, quick product update, it's in, within 36 characters instead of an email where you click the email, you load the email, you read through the email, you click the links, which email is still going to be fundamental for e-commerce businesses. In my opinion, there is not slowing down, but SMS, you'd be surprised on the people who want that because it's just more efficient, gets in, gets out. They know what's unread, what's not unread. They don't have to go dig it out of their inbox. But Greg, if you don't have anything to add, I will jump up to the next step here.
So I do, and this will probably tie into one of the future conversations here, at least momentarily. So we have a question that came in from Jesse, and I think it's a good one that fits into the conversation we're having right now. So, what if I have an established email program, want to collect phone numbers from existing contacts, but also email phone number from new contacts? So the question is, if we request email and they're already subscribed, we want to show them as already subscribed. So I think there's a couple different things to do here, but it's a really good question. One we get all the time is about adding SMS to pre-existing emails. I've got my own things on here. What would you say, Josh?
Yeah, so I mean, read my mind, Jesse. The next step is to go to the preference management page. So that's a perfect transition. We use a preference management page if we don't want to use Omnisend forms, or if we're not looking at cold traffic or site traffic. If we are promoting in the email channel, even on social media, I mean, we could still link this anywhere. But if we go back out, we'll jump back out from our forms here. Let me move these cameras around. We go to the top right of your Omnisend account. We go down to store settings, and we'll see what's called a preference management page. This page, and I pre-built this as, an easy example is a clothing brand, because they're very clear collections and categories. You can use this if you're selling microwave. You could use this if you're selling skincare. You really just doesn't really matter. It's preference management is a pretty universal tool to use here. What we can do is we make the email option required, and then the SMS optional, like we spoke about earlier. But this gives them the option to opt into SMS via a link and more of just a static Omnisend page here. So we can link this when in the email campaigns. I'll jump over to that campaign builder and show you. But this can be as simple as update your preferences. We can make this more fun. We can change the copy. I'm sure all of you here in this webinar are much better copywriters than I am. I tell that to all customers that I meet with. You are the copywriters, and you're very talented at that, which is why you're collecting these contacts here. So we can make this fun if we need to. We can add more categories here, so we can further collect what's kind of the industry calls zero-party data. It's a buzzword right now, but just basically a way for us to get even more information on our customers and what they're interested in ways that we can set up different segmentations here. So we can have email is required. We want to make sure that's required. It ties the phone number to the email address so that it's all in the same contact profile. We wouldn't want, a standalone SMS number, a standalone email. Omnisend, there's no possible way for us to know that email is connected to that phone number unless we attach them together from some sort of unique identifier is what we call it. So email required, phone number optional. This is optional too. You can add in categories. We can further collect information and segment, but we can link this in an email campaign. So what I'll do is I will show you. And to add these in here, if these are not already in, let's say this was out here, we can go ahead and go select field, phone number, and then we'll want to add TCPA compliance here, and then the TCPA compliance should be required. Or sorry, that's going to be required on here, and when you add it, we can make sure that phone number is optional. So we update and save this. You don't need to go find a link to this or copy the URL. This will already be an existing link in your email campaigns. So what we can do here is we can jump back out to our main account. We'll go into campaigns. We will start a new campaign. And like I said, I'll save you the time of copywriting. And I do this with a lot of calls here. I'll just put test in the subject line. Or join SMS list, just to keep it super basic here. We'll go down campaign name. We'll say SMS push, and then we can go ahead and go to the next step here. We'll choose any of these campaigns. You've obviously are familiar with email. I'm not going to go too far in here. Just chose the first one here. So to keep this simple, I'll go from a blank slate, cut this down, and we will add in a field here. So we can drop in any of these blocks, 20% off. We can say SMS, join our SMS list. Like I said, we can make this more enticing. We can make this fun, but we can change this text to join here. And the link here, the link to is we'll actually erase this account website link, click these three dots to the personalization tags here. We can type in preference and preference center link will pop up. We select that. Now this is already ready to go. So if the customers receive this email, they want to join your SMS list, they want to get this incentive. If you are offering one, they go ahead and click this. It takes them to that preference management page where they can opt into SMS, and that way your emails convert to SMS. So that's always an option. I get customers saying, should I just do that at first instead of even doing the pop-ups? You can. The pop-ups, like we said, it's not, it doesn't hurt. It can only benefit you because your biggest fans are going to be opting into those. But if you do want to stay lean with this, start testing it out, start extremely small, shoot over an email to your contacts on your email list, ask them to opt in. What we can also do here is we can save this as a block, and we'll call this SMS opt-in. And we can save the layout. That way, here in our save layouts, we can plug and play this in future emails. And what I like to do is just always give the customer an option to opt in. We can even make this a lot smaller of a block. But let's say we have our email content as normal. We have just tons of different blocks here. And what we can do is we have our normal email as scheduled here. And then at the very bottom of every email, we always give them the option to opt in. So we can make this a little bit more discreet if we want to, if we're not doing a huge push. Greg, do you have anything to add to the way we collect SMS from the email campaigns?
Yeah, we'll touch on it. So I was going to interrupt you, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to let him go. And you just showed exactly. We got a couple screens
at any time.
No, you just talked about it, so I didn't need to, right? So
Cool.
Keep it quiet. So I would recommend putting a block or a secondary, tertiary content in each of your emails, just like Josh showed you. We've got, I think one of the slides we have just has a couple examples of that, just so you can get a visual of what that might look like. But that's one way to do it. Excuse me, we'll talk about automation here in a few minutes, and we should probably move on at some point, Josh, because we're going to be going 2 hours at this rate. So we'll talk about automation, but think about sending dedicated emails to people in your welcome series. So brand new subscribers that might have not opted into SMS at that point, but we know they're shopping. Same with post-purchase emails. And of course, you can do splits inside of your automation pretty easily to say, if they're an SMS subscriber, don't send them a message. If they're not, we send them that message, right? So collecting it from multiple prongs here. So manage preferences, secondary, tertiary banners, dedicated emails. Of course, you can always do a batch email as well. And then also your preference forms. So Jesse, you mentioned, or not preference forms, your sign up form. So Jesse, you mentioned like, hey, we want to collect both, but we also have these existing subscribers, but we want to get it for new subscribers. But if they sign up on the existing subscriber form, it's going to show them existing subscribers. So you can customize those already subscribed landing pages on the pop-ups if you're using that as well. So think about, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of skin a cat in this way.
Awesome. Yeah, and to the last point there, Greg, and we will jump forward into the automations. I'll show. This is nothing crazy. This is my little site here that just kind of do on the side. I have an embedded form here. That's the last thing I didn't show, and this is how I offer email and SMS without actually giving a discount. I create that kind of source of a sense of urgency and exclusivity. I just say never miss a drop, get early access. We can embed these forms on the site. Book a call with me if you ever want me to go one-on-one, by the way. I'm more than happy, or one of the other team members here in Omnisend are more than happy to jump on a call with you and help you get this set up on your site and in your account. But this is an option. And then even if I go to, if customers want to sign up for my next clothing release, I have this first step, and we can embed two-step forms as well. So we can do, let's say josh@omnisend.com. And then we sign up and it changes to the phone number. So again, there's tons of different ways we can do this. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can, but having like an all-encompassing strategy so that you're just consistent. Customers can go to your website, go to your email, go to your different pages on your site and still be able to access information they want is always great. So we'll jump over to, let's see here. we are done with this page here. We created pop-ups here, and I put a screenshot of my site here, just different ways to promote, whether it's in the actual email here, as Greg referred earlier, or if it is on site or pop-up here. So now we're going to go through. Greg, do you have something to say right here?
I was just going to say, if I know you mentioned one-on-one, if you guys are building any forums or have questions about processes, just a friendly reminder, Omnisend offers 24/7, 365 live customer support. So feel free to ping them, let them help you answer questions and navigate you through that as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there, remind people.
Absolutely. Yeah, there shouldn't be any area in Omnisend where you were not being helped here. So, whether it's in the chat or you working with your existing sales rep or your account manager, we're here, we're all around here. So, types of SMS message, or so we already went through this actually. I'll go skim through this again, just basically saying, when you're collecting SMS messages or contacts, we can either offer the discount, offer the, offer like exclusivity, exclusive access, VIP club, treat them as kind of a special, a subset of your list here. But we can also use some customer examples here where, we're offering 40% off, 80% off, with the code and having our links hyperlink to take a shortened link. So just get very quick, get out message. It could be longer. We can include images and GIFs, which would be referred to as MMS, multimedia sending. And I'll show you how to differentiate those and break those up there. Early access, new arrivals. So we talked about this. Let's jump forward just to make everyone kind of be mindful of everyone's time here. We can jump into the automations here. So if we were to add email or SMS into our email automations, tons of different ways we can go a little bit more strategic, and it's not necessarily advanced, but it is. You'd be surprised. It's more than a lot of e-commerce do. Most e-commerce businesses just have the basic setup and they work well. But here's one step we can do, or a few options to kind of go beyond that and just serve your customers even better. So let me move these cameras around again here. So we will go to automations. We'll create a new workflow here. We will go to, the basics are welcome flows, cart abandonment. We will focus on these, and then a post-purchase as well. So let's go ahead and go to the welcome flow. Very easy. We won't spend too much time on this because this is kind of the bare essentials here. And I believe this is also in the Omnisend Academy, but when customers opt in for your welcome form, we do want to make sure that we are following up on that promise of, give us your phone number. We just want to send them a text, even if it's like an exclusive discount, or maybe it's an exclusive, sign up for our next drop. Even if that drop is not, or that release is not released yet, we can still say, hey, thanks for signing up. We also want to verify and make sure that number is real. So we want to make sure that they are getting that phone number, or that text message when they sign up for that. So we type out our message here. I like to put the brand name at the beginning of all messages, especially if you're sending to the US or Canada, because legally we can't have the brand name in the name of the actual or the title instead of the phone number here. So it's going to show up as a phone number instead of like the contact name, like if one of your friends or family texted you. So I like to put in, we will go and type in just Omnisend for this as the brand name. I like to do a colon, and then we space, and then you type in your promotion here. So this could be 5% off, or this could be Omnisend, thanks for joining, or welcome to the family. If I can even type today, and then we can start pressing enter if we wanted to make this longer or drop the stop to opt out. So it previews it out here. The compliance way to keep these compliant is giving them the option to opt out at any time. We want to separate that from our call to action or our messaging. So just makes it cleaner, makes it more professional. We can press enter, separates it out. We can even type in, visit. I like to do a little arrow, and then we can say omnisend.com. That will, instead of doing the full URL, that will shorten it to an OSIND shortened link here, short code. Then we can drop that opt-out option down again. So we have very clear brand name. Here's a promotion. Thanks for joining. Visit this site. Stop to opt out. Very simple. Get them in, get them out, get them back to the site, get them back into the cart. that's a way to just easily drop that in. So it's all drag and drop here. What I wanted to do is show you a more advanced way of doing this in the abandoned cart. And we have splits already, value splits and options with email and SMS. I'm going to go from the email. You probably only have the email option. I'll show you how to add that in. So we can just drag in the SMS and that's fine. What I like to do is to save money on the SMS side and to make sure that you're not sending too many SMS messages, not necessarily to annoy your customers, because we do want to maintain, it is a more intimate channel. We do want to maintain the correct amount of messaging and frequency. So we don't want to be sending them 4 messages a day, but we can start splitting this and kind of serving them where their behavior lies. And what I mean by that is we can use our conditional splits. So we get their first abandoned cart message in the email here. 11 hours later, we have their second email. We can actually do a split underneath that second delay. We'll select message behavior or message engagement, and we will do clicked on message, email, and then that previous email here. We'll choose any URL in that email. So what this is if they click any URL in this previous email, we can send them down the yes path. They get another email because obviously they are checking their emails. If they did not click a single URL in that email, what we can do is serve them an SMS message. Maybe they're just missing in their inbox. They haven't opened it. They have the 10,000 unread emails. We're going to make sure that they don't forget about that cart. We send them an SMS. This way, we're not sending it every single step, but we are kind of looking at where their behavior is here. And this could be our abandoned cart message. Greg, it looks like you have an idea here.
No, I would say maybe to briefly talk about, throw some context around why it's important to, in my opinion, to use SMS inside of your automations. And I think if you look at the value of automations as a whole, hopefully you have some of the key basic ones done: cart abandonment, welcome, browse abandonment, hopefully even post-purchase. But those messages, just put context here, typically they make 35% of a e-commerce store's total email marketing revenue, right? It's going to be those automated messages because they're timely, they're behavior-based, they're sending to people at a decision-making time for the most part. SMS is very similar. So the first half of 2023, we saw that number shoot up to 46%, which is, it's been 35 for most companies as long as I can remember. So going back 13 years where I was analyzing things like this. SMS is very similar. So we're seeing fewer automated SMS sends, but that number is growing. And I say fewer, we're still talking about millions, tens of millions on a yearly basis, but the number is growing, but the performance isn't slowing down here. It's just a different way to communicate. So your example here of, hey, they're not engaging with email on this particular one. Let's hit them with an SMS here. They are opted into the SMS, so maybe that's the channel that's preferred to them. We're seeing significant incremental revenue from brands being able to recapture some of those lost sales. And I think typically a playbook for an e-commerce store is we send them a cart abandonment email, and it doesn't convert. So what are we doing? We know they're so close to purchasing here. We're doing paid retargeting on paid social or search, which comes at a hefty cost, right? Or can come at a hefty cost. Cost to send an SMS, you're talking about pennies on the dollar, right? So it's an efficient opt-in channel way to retarget, hopefully lowers your external retargeting costs as well. So there's tons of different ways to do it here, but I think the purpose of the automated messages is really important to understand that they're behavior-based, they're sending to opt-in contacts, and they're going to be read, right? Most are read within about 3 minutes or so. So they're going to be seen. If they choose not to buy, they choose not to buy, but it's not going to be by lack of effort.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, the stat that you said about 30% of revenue, I'm not, and you probably can tell already, I'm not a huge stats guy. My biggest recommendation is always test it anyway. Doesn't matter what the stats are. Doesn't matter what the industry average is. Every brand is different. Every customer is different. Test it for a day if you need to. Use an A/B split. Send half down the A path, half down the B path. Test everything. You probably heard that from a lot of marketers before. But the important stat that I will cling to always is that with 30% of revenue coming from automations, those are only 2% of messages that go out from brands average. So 80 or 98% of messages going out through campaigns, only 2% are automations, but driving 30% of the revenue. That's a stat that you can't argue with there. So
yeah, so first half of this year was for specifics in our stats reports, a shameless plug. Feel free to navigate over there, but 46.9% of email revenue or email orders on 2.6% of sends. So right within that 43% ratio. It's a huge number. It's huge.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give one last example here in the automations, because everyone talks about welcome flow, abandoned cart, but what are we doing when we don't have just a new sign up or an abandoned cart? What are we doing where we can implement this today and not have to wait for customers to come to us to abandon a cart or join our welcome list? And that is kind of more relying on our external marketing efforts or relying on site traffic. What can we do today? Literally jump in your account, build a segment or build an automation here. We can do a post-purchase. So this could be after the customer sends or after the customer opens or not opens, getting my words mixed up here. When they place an order, we can say 30 days later, 3 weeks later. So this is like a running low. This could be a skincare brand, for example. But either way, we can say, let's say the customer places an order, they enter this workflow in 3 weeks later. This can literally just be, we'll just do the brand right here. Hey, and then we can personalize this as well. We can add their first name. If they don't have a first name, this will go away. It would just say, hey, it won't say contact.first name. So don't be worried about that. We can say the brand name. Hey, Greg, this can just say, we miss you. And then we can give them a surprise discount. We can just give them a, visit, a landing page that we have set up, or just our newest products added. And that's it. We can just keep it very simple, very, very effective. You'd be surprised on the amount of revenue that this creates, almost as like an icing on the cake where you set it, forget it. Every month you look in and say, oh, I got X amount more sales this month than not having this. And it also just is a quick way to kind of help have your customers feel like you are, that you do miss them and say, hey, we realize that you haven't been back to us. This also gives them an example to check out newer products. Greg, if you don't have any other examples here, I can move on to actually finding content ideas for, newsletter campaigns through SMS.
Let's do it.
Instead of just kind of relying on the automations here, which are more one-off trigger event here. So when you upgrade to the Pro plan on Omnisend, you also get access to advanced reporting, which is extremely valuable. So the biggest difference is, and most of here, is the standard plan is email only. You can buy SMS credits a la carte if you need to, but the advantage of the Pro plan, consolidating email and SMS into the same place, it's also more cost effective, and you get access to a consolidation tool, which is in the reporting. If you go to reports, you've all seen the standard reporting. We can go into advanced reporting, and this allows us to identify what's working and what's not over time, and we'll identify different trends. This is the best place to start if you don't know where to start with SMS content. So a lot of customers I talk to, and I talk to, almost right around like 8 to 10 new brands a week. They always say, Josh, I want to start SMS, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what content to send. Maybe you have some marketing managers or interns, and they're tied up in other areas. And you're like, I just don't have the bandwidth to think of more content. But that's fine, because we can see what previously worked for you and what ideas to implement in our SMS campaigns. Customers aren't sitting there with a whiteboard in their rooms or office saying, oh, this brand actually sent a similar email to me a year ago, and that's why I'm not going to click this SMS. That's not happening. We have very short-term memory here. So we can say, do custom range, we'll say what's worked in the past, 6 to 7 months here. Well, let's just do January through today. We'll filter this by emails, and we'll filter results. So we have obviously our overall performance here, which is valuable here. The biggest thing here is understanding not only what segments are performing the best, but in this example here, identifying which campaigns work the best. And when every time I share my screen here, and a lot of you guys who have been on one-on-one calls with me, when I share my screen, the advanced reporting slows down a bit. But here we go. So we have campaigns that are working the most effectively. So most revenue, highest order value, we can take the top campaigns here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and copy this campaign. This is a resend essentially. This campaign, basic piece campaign, drove $27,000 of revenue, which is substantially more than anything else we've done. We're selling fake dresses here, so these numbers might look different. I hope you're making a lot more than this in your brand. But if we scroll up here, we can actually take that campaign that we worked, or that we know worked well. We can go back to our campaign view. We can search for that campaign, and here it is, 27,000. And we can not only see the stats here, we can also view the click map. We can see, what was this? What campaign did we send? So this is, in this example, our top picks. So it looks like our top picks drove the most revenue. We gave them essentially a silver platter of our expert opinion. You're the experts as brand owners and operators. Why, the why behind your brand. So why not share that with your customers? So that might be a good example to send here. So what works the best? This worked the best. We can say, oh, here's our top picks. Now we can jump out and we go to our SMS, or go to our campaign builder. Now that we know that campaign drove the most revenue on email, let's go ahead and try it out on SMS and get some quick wins here. So we go to campaigns, we create an SMS campaign name. Obviously, like I said, not the best copywriter in here. So I will keep this as top picks. Sender's name, like I said, in the US and in Canada, it's just going to show up as, or in the US and Canada, it's just going to show up as a phone number. Non-US, some regions might show up here. So we'll type in, we send for the campaign name if this is our brand name, and then the message text. I always type the brand name in as well, just in case that doesn't show up here on the sender's name. And then we will type in, check out our top picks. And this could be even more, we could be even more relevant top picks for, early, you can say fall, winter, that's coming up, or end of summer top picks. And then we send them to, our website here. So similar in the automation that we already built out, this is going to shorten this code here, shorten this link, and we can separate the stop to opt out from our call to action. If you're in the US or Canada, drop in our image files, not necessary. It is more expensive to do email or to do images. So just going from 0 to 1, let's just shoot out a quick message, say, hey, here's our top picks. And then we send this out, and that's, easy content. Like that took 2 seconds to identify what worked in our email campaigns previously in the last 6 months. What can we send now that we can build easily? Just drop in a link, and that's it. And then the rest of this is just more compliance, automatically shorten the links. We definitely want to have that as we save characters. We have to give them an opt-out to option. And then UTM tags is one thing we didn't edit or touch on. We can edit these UTM tags, but Google Analytics tracking is automatically added here on email and SMS. So just as email, we can track all traffic outside of Omnisend if we need to. So that would be the best way to find ideas easily. And then the other ideas are just go look at competitors. Honestly, just go look at other brands who are doing this well in your space, sign up for their funnels, look and see what they're doing, just look and see how they're structuring their content, how they're structuring their offers, and we can make our own version of that for your brand. And then this biggest thing is just be consistent. So consistency is the number one advice I could give, other than just understanding the SMS does work, is that consistency is, you offer them a 10% discount, they get the 10% discount. If the offer is exclusive access, want to make sure we follow up on that. So we just want to be consistent. If it's a welcome email, we want to be very excited and very warm and welcoming in our SMS message. We don't just want to hit them with a cold, hey, thanks, and that's it. Shop now. We want to be have a consistent, consistent, like charm about the SMS messages, depending on how they opted in and what the content is that you're pushing out. Greg, anything to add here?
Yeah, Josh, can you go back to the presentation and slide 13? Because I think that it ties well into kind of what we're looking at here. So I know we skipped over these super quick, but on top of just kind of looking at previous things that did well, I think your recommendation of looking at competitors, it's a great one. I also tell people, like, you don't have to overcomplicate these things. So if you look at flash sales, last chance reminders, pretty self-explanatory, but the benefit of these things is you can use images, you cannot use images. Images can kind of help you if you have a quick message you want to display and make people grab it immediately, but you don't need messages there. I know we have a question in the queue, which will kind of queue us up for this one about SMS and MMS messages as well, but kind of these staple type promotions you can run with SMS, and you can use any sort of content for them. Last chance reminders, these are great if you have a campaign already going, but you want a little sales oomph to it before it runs out. You have that content already because you're running those sales or that promotion or that marketing at the time. Beg, borrow, and steal and truncate it pretty quickly. And if you go to the next slide, a couple more examples of types of campaigns we can do here. But so early access and new arrivals, if you can push that, Josh, be super helpful. So again, kind of you do this, hey, we'll give you a 15-minute heads up on drops we have, but it provides some of that exclusivity. New arrivals or pre-orders, if you have any of those coming in, but new arrivals, especially if they're back in stock, which is the next one. But get it hot and use that fear of missing out. But back in stock, also, we know people love the products like this. So look at those products that have sold out. To your point, Josh, advanced reporting. Look at the products that have sold out previously that are hot, your top sellers. And if you know your top sellers and you have 20 of them on your store, you have 20 different SMS messages you could theoretically run just promoting those top sellers, whether there's a sale or not, right? Hey, back in stock, are these running low on this inventory? Get customer favorites, throw some testimonials in there. So it doesn't always have to be content you have in email. It could be content you have on your website, or you just know in your product catalog and what sells the most. So those are a couple different examples of ways you can use that. But question, Josh, we could probably tackle this together about SMS and MMS. So it's really looking around data for do images improve the performance of SMS messages, and when do you suggest using MMS or images in there? So for me, and I'll let you chime in here, Josh, for me, I don't have any data on whether it helps or hurts. I know my own experience. I'm signed up for tons of them. I shop from them. Some get me when I'm not expecting it. And I'm like, oh, and I went ahead and bought it. I think it happened last week to me, to my chagrin. But, if it's, again, you don't have to use a picture or an image in every single message. I would actually encourage you not to do that. I would save them for times where maybe you need to convey something super quick, like flash sale, 80% off, 2 hours only, right? They can digest it super quick. If it's a top selling product you're promoting and it's going to add value to the message itself, help convey it better, at that point, I would add it. But otherwise, I think you're okay with just text. So use it periodically so it doesn't become, immune to them or they look past it. But I would use it sporadically when you think it adds value to the message. Otherwise, I think you're fine with just text. I don't know. Do you have a opinion?
Yeah, actually, I have a little bit of data. It's and I'll have to. Go. I'm sorry, I don't have the source here. So you can take it with a grain of salt. I'll try to find that and present it out. But the last stat I heard about SMS versus MMS was I believe it was back in January after all the Black Friday stats were coming out. It was only I believe a 1% or less than 1% increase in conversions with MMS as opposed to SMS was across, I believe, 10 million sends. With I don't know how many brands, so I would have to figure that out. But that's not a huge conversion when you think about MMS being almost 3 times more expensive than SMS. So it is more expensive to send an image. It's more data being sent. I'm not saying not to use it. And Greg, I know you're not saying not to use it, but it's not necessary to get started, and it's not necessary to prove that SMS works. Once it's working for you, if you are a visual-based brand, or let's say you're an artist, you're selling paintings, or you are maybe even a clothing brand. Like I use that example a lot just because I'm biased because I have one. Is just if anything that needs more visuals, you need to kind of draw in that kind of visual emotion there. We can send those. It's okay. You don't need to get you don't need those to get started. You don't need to go hire photographers and get good content and hire, product shop photographers. We don't need to do that unless you feel really compelled to based on the product that you're selling. But yeah, I believe the stat, and it's kind of the rocky stat that I don't have the actual word for word stat is, I believe it's only less than a 1% conversion increase.
Yeah, and again, it's the beauty of SMS is you're limited unless you use an MMS or an image. You're at 160 characters, right? Short, sweet, to the point, which is what you want there, and that's going to include your links and things like that. So think about a back in stock email, because we're looking at the screen here. If you don't have an image there, what's a way to convey that pretty quickly? Back in stock in all caps right at the beginning. They let them know right away it's back in stock. Items won't last long. You can be short and to the point, but still stand out with just all caps or some emojis in there to kind of break it up, right? 5 stars. You actually have the icons or the emojis of 5 stars in there. So there are ways to make messages stand out without the use of images. I think sometimes the images can be helpful. Again, if it's going to really convey value to the message or let people digest something super quick, like you, Josh, I don't expect images in all mine. I convert on ones and I purchase as a consumer on ones that are just text-based. And I think you're perfectly okay with that. So you can try it out. But again, don't let it be a barrier to get you started. Don't feel you have to push it in all your messages, because you don't. Let's just be honest here. You don't.
Yeah. And I know we're kind of getting closer to the end of the webinar here, and I want to make sure we answer any other Q&A questions. But the biggest thing I would emphasize is Greg and I could say, hey, use MMS no matter what, because that we could pretend that converts better because it is more expensive, and it would be obviously more revenue for Omnisend. But really, at the end of the day, we want to be a marketing consultant for you and not just a software. And that's why we want you to do what's working. We want to get you from ground zero to if we're going from 0 to 1 easily. We want to see the ROI. It only makes sense for us to have success if you have success, if you have even more success than we do, because we are generating a 5x, a 10x, a 20x ROI from Omnisend. So we want you to be successful as well. So I'd love to meet with you guys.
So Josh, shoot to slide 19 real quick. I know we're 2 minutes over right now. People need to get the meetings. I'm fine sticking around. If you have questions, we'll try to answer those questions for you. Of course, if you bounce and have to leave, fill out that form, the quick survey form. But also, you can find this video on YouTube, and we'll email it to you, so you can always check out anything you might have missed here. I think this slide kind of sums it up. About we want to recognize the value and the impact SMS can make for your brand, and it's just about getting started and slowly building, just like you did with your email program. So this is from a company, Divatris. They were working with us, had a successful email program. And they said, you know what? They didn't think SMS was going to be good or sustained success for the program, but they figured, hey, we'll ask for SMS. We'll let our customers decide whether they want to get them. No one signs up and you're asking for it. It's your indication that your customers' product fit, whatever doesn't fit there. And you can see the stats on the right. In 8 months, 70,000 subscribers. By the way, 13,000 of which are SMS only. So they didn't even opt into the email. And I think the value there is we're getting traffic to the website. We're not collecting that first party data, that opt-in data. But they chose that SMS is their preferred channel. That's their jam, where email wasn't. And now they have a low-cost way to market directly to them. It's a brand that now, SMS now creates 7% of their marketing revenue here as a channel, which is pretty significant. But also on the left side of the screen there, you can see they put SMS into their cart abandonment. And we got 28% of their recovered carts come through the SMS channel. So, would some of those have converted either organically or through email? Probably so. Let's not lie here. But there's also a subset that probably didn't, right? They're either not checking email, maybe they're not subscribed to email. They're one of those 13,000. And traditionally, again, you're doing paid retargeting costs, which are more expensive than, say, 4 cents or 3 cents to get that conversion back. So, I always say the legs feed the wolf. And this is one of those examples where the legs kind of fed the wolf on you. So it's just one of those there for you. So, all right, if we move just kind of the recap slide here, and we'll monitor for anyone who's sticking around. We got a few of you still. Any questions we might want to take? So give me a minute, Josh. I'm going to have some awkward silence here. You feel free to fill while I peruse through things if you want.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is just we would love to meet with you. Webinars and kind of general strategy are always great, and it's great to get started. By the end of this, you should be able to go into your account no matter what product you sell. Go for, like I said, I'm gonna say this again, 0 to 1. Just add in the form, add in the preference management link, just kind of see what happens. But at the end of the day, if you want anything more personalized in terms of the strategy from Omnisend, I'm more than happy to meet with you. We have tons of account managers and sales staff that would love to get to know you and your brand and the actual product that you sell. That'll help us get a little bit more personalized with the strategies and, the helping with the copywriting, helping with the offer, the CTAs. So, and overall, just, the frequency of sending and when to send those and when not to. So it looks like we do have a question here, Greg.
Yeah, so it's around how often should I send emails? So not SMS necessarily related, but I think it's comparable, right? If we're sending emails 7 days a week, kind of gives you an indication of how many SMS you might want to include on there. And then the second part is, it should be automated emails or campaigns or a combination of both. So from my perspective, having been in the game, I'll tell you, if you sell something online, you should be sending at least once a week. I think the sweet spot for most brands is going to be 3 to 4 times a week from campaign sends. Of course, I have worked with brands that used to send 3 emails a day, and they were successful. I think it's all about knowing your audience, products you sell, their tolerance for emails. Would I recommend you send 3 a day? I would not. I tried hard to get them to send fewer. I was not successful with it, but I would say 3 to 4 is probably going to be most brands' sweet spot. But and that is just campaigns. I think with the automation, this is where automation, if you have that really set up, allows you to actually send fewer campaign emails because the automation kind of fills the gap in there. So think about browse abandonment, which I'm a strong proponent of browse abandonment messages. If I'm getting an email, I click, I don't really cart anything. And browse abandonment is just when it's like online window shoppers, if you will, checking something out, but I don't add a product to my cart and then I leave, which is most people. Those can trigger off to people, at whatever timing you want, both via SMS and or email, and re-engage them. It's a timely, relevant email. It's a pre-segmented message that's sending just to them. If you have things like cart abandonment, welcome messages, post-purchase, browse abandonment, these things set up where you're filling in gaps, you can actually send fewer campaign emails potentially without reducing, your revenue, your sales, because you have these things fill in the gap. So it's going to be the consultant's cop out I'm going to give you. You need to test it, but I think 3 to 4 campaigns a week will be most brands' sweet spot, adjusted for your own audience, your own products, and figure out what works best for you. But don't be scared to do 7 a week if it supports it. I've worked with plenty of brands that did that and they were just fine.
Definitely. And to whoever asked that question, sorry, I can't see names right here. But when you ask that question, we also have segmentation, and we can walk through, if you want to send, be very frequent with your messaging, whether it's email or SMS, we can look at ways to segment so that we're not necessarily sending to everyone 3 to 4 times a week. Like Greg said, that is very effective. But if you are a little apprehensive about doing that just from the get-go, we can start segmenting down customers who have maybe purchased but not purchased in a while, or have some sort of data that we can personalize and filter out a smaller set of our customers, but we still are sending frequent messages out, and then even get even more personalized there. We have another question, looks like.
No, I think that was for me.
Oh, gotcha.
So cool. I think if anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in there. Kindly shout out for you before I kind of walk through these recap points just real quick, but I'll do it real quick. Again, when you log off, please fill out that form survey. Any people who said yes to the promotion for the poster, we'll draw 5 at random. We will reach out to you via email. So please check your email, check your spam folder based on whoever's sending it. If they got a weird name like me, might wind up in there. But quickly, thanks so much for your time today, Josh. Thank you so much for walking us through everything. The thing with SMS is it's easy to get started. All you have to do is ask for it, and your customers will tell you whether it is a channel they want to receive messages from you, which is the great thing. Put it out there. If you get a lot of signups, it's a good indication you've got more sales at your fingertips. If no one signs up, maybe it's just not the right fit, and that's okay too. We've still got email there. So focus on the list growth, put them in your campaigns, Focus on your automation, especially your 3 key ones: welcome, browse abandonment, cart abandonment. Don't ignore those post-purchase, and of course, order confirmation messages, shipping confirmations. Those are great ways to use SMS as well. And again, something we didn't really talk about today, but using it to replace email unsubscribes. Again, email lists are going to churn. You're going to have people that decide it's not their jam anymore. They've had enough of your sending 3 emails a day for 7 days a week. They opt out, but SMS might be something they want to get those messages for. You can, again, connect that data points, know that they have history from an email, you know, their purchase history, but you also have that direct line to opt in. So those are my final comments. Josh, any closing comments you would like to make?
No, I mean, really just thank you for your time. You gave us, more time than what we had scheduled. So we appreciate that. And we appreciate you sticking by. Like I said, would love to meet with you individually. If given the opportunity, would love to go through, your products, your brand, just your role in your company in general, and just make sure that, this is fitting in with your day to day, and how do we optimize not only your account, but we can go through ways to just be efficient with this. So we're not spending a ton of time in Omnisend. The goal is get your messages out, get back to growing the brand. So all of those all encompassing areas there, we would love to help with. And I believe we can always help you get started with a little bit of SMS credits. We offer, a couple dozen sends for free anyway. So we can test without, the financial commitment yet. If that's something that you want to do, let us know, and we'll talk about it, and we'll see what's a good fit for you.
Wonderful. Thanks everyone for your time. And until next time, happy marketing, everyone.
Bye, guys.